why the Scottish Marketing Summit? I mean, it's quite a mouthful, isn't it? What made you want to do this?
For me, it was about creating a platform in Scotland. I'm born and bred in Scotland. I do business in Scotland. I love Scotland. And I want to create a platform for the business and the marketing community, which are the two communities that have served me for over 10 years. I'm a marketer who runs a business, and I see both sides of those communities, both sides of those events, both sides of those spaces that are created. And I wanted to create something that merged the two together, and was very proud to be built here in Scotland.
And I mean, last year was your first event,
Yep.
which I attended, and it was fantastic. And one of the main reasons I attended, because I'd never heard of it before, hadn't heard of you before, wasn't sure what to expect, but one of the reasons I attended was because it is in Scotland.
Yeah.
So some may say the name is actually genius. Did you pull anybody up off the border from England? Did we manage to get anyone into Scotland from England?
We got a couple.
Yeah.
We had a couple. We had one of our speakers was from down south. He actually did one of these kind of DNA tests to find out how much Scottish was inside him. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Innocent until proven guilty.
Well, he does look a bit like a Viking, doesn't he? To be fair.
We did have a couple. We, coming into this year, are already noticing that geographically we're getting a little bit of a further reach this year as well, which is really cool. And although it's the Scottish Marketing Summit, it's here in Scotland. It's a platform for Scotland. Anyone south of the border is welcome.
Oh well, we've got that on record.
Yeah.
If you're English or Welsh, you're allowed. We're not the Irish though, because they've got to come across on a ferry. So are Irish allowed?
Yes.
Oh right,
so,
okay. So we'll get that on camera.
Yeah,
as
we had a
well.
conversation yesterday with a company who are going to be involved, and they're flying somebody over from Ireland. So that's, to my knowledge, the first Irish coming.
Okay, brilliant. How on earth do you go about filling a room? I mean, how do you raise awareness? I mean, we were talking off camera in a pre-chat there about the marketing summit and how your strategy around getting people into these events. But talk us through that. What is the strategy? How are you raising awareness? Because it costs a lot of money to put these events on, and it also costs a lot of money to get your name out there for something that's brand new. So how are you approaching that?
For year one, it was bang the drum as much as possible. For year one, it was phone everybody that I know. And a lot of those people that I phoned, I said, look, I've got this idea. You're really good at what you do. Do you want to come on stage and speak about it? And there was some strategy behind who the speakers were, because they could give us access to their communities that they're within, whether they were the marketing community or the business community, or maybe a hybrid of both. A lot of last year was just banging the drum. It was introducing the concept to people, because the Scottish Marketing Summit does not exist until we came along last year. And the idea of having like a flagship event in Scotland is a new concept. So a lot of it was actually introducing the concept that all these things that you know to happen down south and abroad and further afield, actually we can bring something to your doorstep. In terms of the physical, how do we get this into the hands of people? We go through all the good things in marketing. So we went through all the organics, let's build a database, let's get ads out there, let's incentivise it for people to come along. Year one, I had to prove that it was going to be worth people to come. It's not a free event. It's not an event that we just bring as many people as possible into the room and it's totally free. People pay for a ticket. And I had no proof that year one would work. I knew in my head and in my heart with what I wanted to do with it, I knew that we could make it work, but I didn't know to what extent, because we didn't have social proof. Nobody could stand in front of a camera and say, I went to last year's event and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It did not exist. We didn't even have photography. Everything was relying on having my basic skills on Canva or Adobe or whatever, to show people it. And a lot of it was getting all the thoughts that I'd had in my head and being able to articulate that to people as well. And one of the best ways of articulating it was to literally stand in front of people and speak about it. So I was doing a lot of networking, a lot of getting into rooms, getting into different events, and just anybody that would listen, I would speak about it. We had said earlier in a pre-chat that a lot of networking you go to, people will say, so what do you do? And rather than saying, well, I'm just about to build this event and I'm just about to do this, I would just go, I run the Scottish Marketing Summit. And they would say, how many years have you been going? I said, well, we're in month 4. We haven't done an event yet, but you'll remember it. So actually it was just leading with that kind of at the forefront at all times, because I knew it was something I wanted to do because I did it, but I also in the back of my mind knew that this would become the big thing. This would become the thing that I get to put my name against, and I get to say, this is what I have created, and here's all the people that are involved with it as well. So there was a little bit of kind of, I'd say maybe blind confidence with it. Blind in the sense of no proof. But I knew that if we could get the right people in the room, it would work quite well.
You've got to be seriously driven to decide to put on any kind of event, I think. I mean, the biggest event I ever did was a staff event that we had like 30 people at, and that was stressful enough, and I didn't really have that much to do with it. So, I mean, you know, why you? What is powering you on? Let's go into your backstory a little bit. Okay. How did you get to the point where you thought, do you know what, I'm gonna put on this big event?
So up until that point, my business was me. It was people would hire me in to come and do the marketing for them. I worked within service-based businesses, and I typically worked with companies that worked at volume. So things like hair salons, restaurants, private dentists. They're not looking for just a couple of customers. They're working at a huge volume. And part of my own lead generation strategy for that was to get people in a room in a very small capacity, so maybe 5, 6, 7 people at a time, run a workshop, show them what is possible inside that style of business, and then give them an opportunity to work with me on the other side. And I love doing that, and I think that's when I really realised I like bringing people in a room. I like to put on an experience for people. I like to be able to say, you haven't met this person, you need to go and speak. There's collaboration between the two of you there. And actually I did that maybe once a month for about 6 months, and I started to think, I can maybe do more, like, can I make it bigger? Can I do it more frequently? But then the bottleneck on the back end of that is, because it was just me and the company, and at that time I did not want staff. I'd made that decision, it just wasn't a route I wanted to go down. Well, there's the ceiling that you're going to hit. And actually, although this is nice to do, if I can't fulfill the work on the other side for people, it's redundant and it doesn't need to exist. Coupled with, I love going to other people's events. I love going to an event. To have an event in your diary, I love it. I love the excitement, the newness, the meeting new people, connecting with people that you've met before, the whole environment. When an event's done well and curated well, it's a proper experience for people. And the two things kind of aligned, the enjoyment of other people's events and the wanting to do more of my own kind of collided at the same point. And then I decided, if I'm going to do it, let's just put a number on it and work towards that number.
I had heard on the grapevine that you're a bit of a party animal. I won't bring up the terrible stories I've heard, but I have heard that you're a bit of a party animal and like going to events. So that does make perfect sense. In terms of your own journey. So did you go to university and study marketing and everything like that? No, you've gone a much more traditional route.
I have nothing behind me. I left school when I was 15. The education system was not for me. I'm not the kind of conventional learner that system wants to put you into. I'm really fortunate. I grew up in a household where my parents are very opposite from each other. I'm more of my dad in terms of left school very young. I wanted to go and earn money. I wanted to have money in my pocket and say, this is mine, and I get to do what I want with it. And then I've got my mum on the other side, who's a little bit more conservative in that sense, was a little bit more methodical, slower in terms of like decision making, whereas my dad would be like, it's fine, we'll figure it out, it's cool. So I was really lucky to grow up in that household of seeing both of those sides, but also being able to know that if I wanted to leave school at a really young age, it wasn't the beginning of the end as what was fed to you when you were at school. You know, the idea was like, if you do not complete school, if you don't stay 5th year, 6th year, if you don't go to university, you might as well just sign your life away. But I had seen that it could be different, and their support was, if this isn't for you, let's do something else. So I had no concept of what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to do something practical. I wanted to meet people, because I also grew up very rurally, and I went to school with 30 other people. I didn't know crowds of people. I didn't know many people, and I wanted to have a total polar opposite experience. Not because I thought that was the life I wanted, but I wanted to experience the other side of it, so that I could then decide, do I want like city living, or do I want to be countryside, or somewhere in the middle? I want to have all these options and see what happens. So I left at 15, and I went into the heart of Glasgow, the merchant city, which at the time is probably one of the busiest areas in Glasgow. And I worked in a hair salon in there for a couple of years. And I got the opportunity to learn how to speak to adults, how to speak to people I'd never met before, how to give them a good experience, how to strike up conversation, and also how to interact with other people. Because again, I hadn't had this exposure. I hadn't had, apart from school, I hadn't had like a Saturday job or anything leading up to that. So it was a total immerse yourself in the workplace. I really enjoyed the social aspects of it all. The career, not so much, but it was a good stepping stone at that point. And after a couple of years, I then thought, okay, there's something else I want to experience. I want to experience going to the other city. So I went and started working in Edinburgh for a couple of years. Very similar kind of business. But when I look back on it, I got to experience two completely different bosses. I got one boss that we were literally told we had to ask when we could like go to the toilet. Every second of our day. At school. Every second of our day was micromanaged, and it was very suffocating. And then I went to the complete other side to have a boss that said, don't care when it's done, as long as it's done, trust you. I trust all the staff, and it was all very laid back. And I didn't enjoy both environments for different reasons. One was suffocating, one was a little bit too loose and stretched and a bit too out there. And I, as a person, got to understand what I like, and I get to take from both of those experiences what I like. One side taught me that actually you should be across the data, and you should be across the customer experience, and the small details do really matter. And the other side told me that actually it'll always be okay. Like, you'll always figure it out. Yeah. It'll always be okay. And I was able to have both of those experiences. Shortly before the pandemic, so kind of 2017, 2018, a couple of years before, I got the opportunity to start travelling the country with L'Oreal, the hair company, or the cosmetic company. And I got to go to parts of the UK I had never been to. I'd never been on a plane until I was 19. Trips abroad were not a thing when we were younger. So at 19, my first plane journey was over to, I think it was Dublin or Belfast. And I got to have this experience, another experience that I've never had before, of travelling to other areas and then meeting, again, more people, but a broader range of people. And that experience was really fun. We were putting on shows, we were putting on events, and actually, in hindsight, I think that was maybe the initial seed for that environment of events, crowds, managing the backstage. I loved being backstage. Backstage was chaos, and I loved it, because it was just problems all the time, but you just had to solve one problem, to solve the next problem, to solve the next one. And you could see some people were totally overwhelmed by it, and some people were just one foot in front of the other. Like, let's just keep going with it. And all the experiences I'd had up until that point, I loved. So those first 4, 5, 6 years in the workplace working for other people, I think were absolutely crucial for me then being able to decide what I wanted experience-wise.
Learning on somebody else's time and somebody else's dollar, it is just so valuable. And you know, I can relate to a lot of that. That's what I did in my early days as well. Work for somebody else, find out what's good, what's not, what you enjoy, and then take that out into the big wide world. And you can see where the entrepreneurial spirit comes from. So I guess this is the Explore AI podcast. And I've not even mentioned it up to this point, but you must be starting to see massive changes in the event space now. How's AI starting to influence that? I would imagine it's infiltrating its way into just about every area, is it? I'd like to interrupt the podcast just for a moment to tell you about a little something that I think will add real value to your week. Every Sunday at 5 o'clock, I can deliver directly to your inbox my newsletter. The AI space is just moving so quickly at the moment that this newsletter is full of my philosophies, my tips, my tricks, and all the latest trends. There's a link in the description below on how to sign up. Now let's get back to the pod.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from an organiser's perspective, a lot of the automation and the functionality that we can do on the back end is getting a lot more targeted. And the more targeted, the better an experience we can give to the customer. So depending on when people purchase a ticket, inquire about tickets, inquire about sponsorships or exhibition space, whatever that first interaction is, we of course can be very targeted about what the response is on that. And again, that's something that just as AI is evolving, it's just getting better and better. And one of the things that I struggle with, and I'm quite happy to say, is finding the time to develop what those processes look like, because it's one of those things, it's not an instant task that you do. You don't say, I'm going to make this better, and you do 2 or 3 steps and it is better. It's a process, and it's definitely something that I carve time out for to make sure that we can develop and run on that. From like an attendee perspective as well, I think a lot of people are expecting experiences that are centred around AI as well. So something that we have in the pipeline at the moment that's getting developed is the idea of an AI matchmaking directory.
Oh, that's further down my list. Now, what I want to know before you go there, I was going to say, when I first read that, I was like, does that mean that this is the place finally where geeky AI people can go dating? I'm taking it's not for that whatsoever.
No,
go on.
No. So our audience it's exactly a 50-50 split. Business owners of any sector and marketers.
Right.
Now, the marketers can also be business owners, or they can be freelance or within a company. But what we know within our audience is that there's collaboration there. Business owners need marketers, marketers need business owners. And we, over the course of the last 18 months of running this community and the events, are now starting to see people doing business. We have stories of how people have hired each other, how they've passed clients on to each other. Just last night we ran an event and we had a girl come up to one of the girls in the team, Rachel, who's our brand designer, and say, I've just quit my job because the last time I spoke to you, you told me that I would be really good at doing my own thing, and off she went. And like, we're getting all these success stories.
No pressure.
I know. Rachel came over afterwards and she was like, I feel incredibly pressured.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see all of these little stories emerging. And actually, I don't want to leave them up to chance for people. I don't want to leave it up to chance that you come to an event and you so happen to meet somebody and it works really well for you. Because what about the people that you don't get to meet and the opportunity that could have been explored on the other side? So the thing that we're developing out is being able to match our audience together. So we're building out a system whereby people will be able to identify themselves as the business owner, the marketer, or the two combined. They'll be able to choose what they're looking for. So if you're a business owner, you'll be able to say, well, I'm curious about what, I don't know, paid media could look like, and my budget is X, and I'm based in this area, and I sell these kind of products, and marketers will be able to say what they can offer, what their budget is, and the AI will match them together and then allow them to have a conversation with each other, so that if you don't get the opportunity to see somebody in person, well, the opportunity extends on the online side of things as well.
Isn't that fantastic that AI is being used to bring humans closer together?
Absolutely.
Because the popular narrative at the moment is that it's being used to push people apart.
Absolutely.
Whereas actually what I'm seeing almost on a daily basis is that AI is being sprinkled like the fairy dust all across businesses, and sometimes it can make a mediocre business into a good business, and it can make a good business into a great business, because it just allows you to jump forwards at such incredible speed. So I really like that. I guess you spoke earlier on about getting people to the events and the way
Yep.
that you're doing that. I think you'd also said that you are doing some paid advertising
Yep.
for that as well, which
Yep.
we all have to do, don't we?
Yeah.
Is AI infiltrating that yet? Are you using AI for ad creation or anything like that? I know people think that that's a dirty question,
Yeah.
but I don't think it necessarily is. If it's helping you speed up the process, are you experimenting with that at all yet?
Yeah, I mean, my input on the paid media side for the event is limited because I hand that off to another company. It was a decision I made. I thought I am too in this. When there's things like ad budget involved, too emotional, too reactive, get somebody who does this all day, every day. However, throughout the year, I have been running paid ads and I've been running them myself. The stakes are slightly lower with them. They're more funneling people into free events. So the spend and the cost per lead and all that good stuff is a lot more reduced. But in the creative side, yes, absolutely. Using it in a couple of senses, using it to scrape what's currently out there. I mean, you can go into Meta Ads Manager and you can type in specific companies and you can see what they're running. But if you want to try and find a couple of companies and compare, you need to do it manually and pull through it, but actually being able to do it in an AI sense and get a full report of what's working or what's out there, how long it's been out there, and then getting the AI to analyse it. Tell me why you think this is working well and tell me those elements, how can I apply them to me and how can we work together to find out what that looks like, especially from a copy perspective as well. I mean, the copy on paid media is, for me, it's a bit of a minefield. I mean, sometimes I look at copy and I think, how is this attracting anybody? I don't understand how this is doing anything for people. And then other copy I look at and I go, that's genius. That's absolutely genius. I would never have thought of it in that way. Love it. Like, how can I take the elements that I like of this and pull it into my sense? So being able to have that kind of co-creation in that creative space is absolutely invaluable for me.
I think that like the data analytics point there that you touched on is so valuable. But I mean, like you, there are many sort of marketing creators out there, if you want, that I follow and I look at their ad copy and stuff like that. And I think sometimes we forget that when they test something, they might be putting millions of pounds of ad spend behind it. And that's going to be very different to us testing something out with 50 or 100 quid. I've always been a fan with ad copy about throwing a whole load of money at it very quickly, get a lot of data out of it, whether that's the right approach or not, and then going, oh, well, that worked or it didn't work. This sort of dribbling budget, I think... you never really get a clear picture of what's going on. That's certainly what we've seen in our business. With Meta now, they have just bought a AI platform called Manus, Manus for the listeners, and Manus is owned by Meta, and it is incredible what you can do with that when you link up your Facebook ads account. I would exercise caution though, because obviously it's always going to say you need to spend more money because it's owned by Meta, but it is, you get all that analytical data so quick out of it. Now, have you had a play with that?
I actually haven't. I've had a play with Manus on its own, but I haven't connected the two. So I have, as I say, I hand the ads off to another company, and I have developed this fear of tinkering with Ads Manager too much. Because as you say, every time you view the dashboard, there's just an overload of information, but it's something that I have on my list to be able to curate what that information that I get back is, because I think data's phenomenal, but only if, as a human, you know how to process it. And some of these platforms, not just Ads Manager, like many other platforms that I'm using, it's all the data thrown at you, and if you don't know what it means to you and you don't know how that influences your decisions or your next choices, then actually it can be meaningless. So that's something that I'm doing inside like our CRM and database, is actually being able to decipher the data that is appropriate for me, will influence a decision, and also getting rid of some of it that maybe further down the line I'll need, but right now it's not influential in decisions.
one of the really good things with Manor. So I use it for some things, not a massive amount. I'll tend to talk to it on my phone when I'm out and about walking the dog and stuff like that, because it's connected up to my Google Mail and all that kind of good stuff. But one good thing off the back of that is that what it will do is it will very quickly, when it's analysed data, it can create a web portal and an interface and display that data. And if you then plug into it what your objectives are or your business plan or something like that, you get much better data out of it. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. What are you seeing in the sort of the AI space that's exciting you? Because I know you've got some close friends that are doing things with AI, and you're speaking to a lot of business owners, and you're getting some so-called expert to come to one of your events and speak about AI, but you're out there, you're putting feelers in, you're listening to the business community at the moment. What are you seeing that's sort of exciting you or making you sort of prick your ears up and listen?
I think I'm seeing fewer people reject the idea of using AI. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's one tool or one system that people are adopting and running over, because I think the tools are a vehicle to doing the task that you want to do. But I am definitely hearing fewer people being resistant to it. And for me, that's really exciting, because I think there's been a lot of pushback for a long time from a lot of people. I'm not going to go into AI, or that's the beginning of the end, or, I've seen this film play out before, and they're the kind of things that people would say. Actually, people are now starting to understand that, like the example we spoke about there with our directory, it's using AI in a way that facilitates the human side of it. It's using AI to support the people, to support the connection, to support the operations, so that humans can go off and do what humans do best, which is chatting with each other and being creative, and in some cases having downtime to do nothing, because a lot of people have spent so long being busy. And we spoke about this earlier as well. Busyness is not the badge of honour that people should be wearing.
No, definitely not.
People are now starting to, in my world and in my sphere, start to adopt it a little bit more and get curious as to what it can look like for them as well. And I think that's one of the main things, is there's now questions for people. People are getting more curious about, well, if I tried that, what could that look like? And could we do it this way? Can that be better? Whereas those kind of questions weren't really coming up previously. It was a case of, do you use ChatGPT? Yes or no?
Yeah. And, in Scotland, anything that gives people more time to get down the pub will eventually
it's a winner.
Become more widely adopted, won't it? It's going to be a winner.
Yeah,
it's
that should be the tagline for OpenAI in Scotland. Get down the pub.
Get down the pub. We'll have that on the thumbnail, Kian. We'll have that on the thumbnail. Okay, so you spoke a little bit about the AI matchmaking directory, which I did giggle when I can't remember where I saw that. It was maybe on LinkedIn or somewhere. I saw it somewhere. Is there anything else that you're building at the moment to help you in your business?
From an AI perspective? Just
from an AI, or it might have a sprinkling of AI over the top of it.
I have been really, really focused from day one on the database and getting the right people into the database and being able to communicate with people effectively on the database. AI for me has allowed me to uncover a lot of the blind spots. When you're in your company and you're running the company and you love the company that you run, you miss so much. You miss things that are so obvious to people on the outside. Even people that are maybe within your close sphere, but it's not their company, they can see things very differently. And for me, a lot of the co-creation that I'm doing with AI at the moment is helping me identify blind spots. And the blind spots can look like communication patterns. It can look like the way in which we reach out to people, the way in which we engage people, and sometimes a lot of the time, the way in which we get the customer closer to the point of purchase and therefore purchase on the other side. And for me, co-creation is that when I think of AI, co-creation is what comes to mind, because that is the way that I'm using it. I'm using it to show me the blind spots that exist in my world, because I'll never see them otherwise. No. I will never be able to zoom out enough. Because I am in the company, I'm building it, I'm also delivering in the company as well. There's a finite amount of time there, but there's also a finite amount of bandwidth in my head, and I will miss things again, that are so obvious. Great example, we're talking about paid ads there, had sent over some of the creative to the company doing the paid ads, and the girl was like, you haven't mentioned the date or the venue on any of these. I'm like, it's two of the most crucial ideas.
It is quite important.
You miss things and you don't know what you're missing. And for me, that is a scary thought, that I don't know what I don't know. And AI right now is supporting me to find all those blind spots.
That's brilliant.
And some of those blind spots then lead to building out other operations for AI to help run. But they also lead to, hold on, I need to go and get a human involved here to come in and help deliver this area of it, or to come in and take over this section of it. And again, freeing up bandwidth, freeing up time.
AI loves structured data, so it's a very smart move to plug it into your database. I do worry. I was thinking about this yesterday, as my other half said something to me, and I put my laptop down on my daughter's high chair, and I had to leave it open because I had an AI agent doing something on it at the time. And I thought, are we not now starting? This is like the new email, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where we're all going, wow, we can do all these things. But I don't reckon it'll be a very long time before expectations catch up. And actually, the conversation in a lot of office environments is going to be, well, you should be using AI for that. You'd have had it done by now. I think it is going to get there. It is going to get there eventually.
Absolutely.
Where are you going with the Scottish Marketing Summit? What's this going to look like in 10 years' time? Yeah. Are we going to Wembley?
We're not going to Wembley. We will always be in Scotland. We are, to my knowledge right now, coming into this year, we are the biggest marketing event in Scotland, because again, there hasn't been a space like this existed before. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to rest on the laurels and say, well, because we exist, we are the biggest. I still think there's a lot to prove. I think any event company every year is a constant proving yourself. It's proven that you have developed the event year upon year. You have invested into that event, invested into the community, invested into the overall purpose and cause, which for us is the platform here in Scotland. So for me, yes, it's getting bigger, but it's also fine-tuning the quality on all fronts in terms of people in the audience, speakers on stage, the sponsors that come in, the partners that partner with us. On all fronts, it's quality as well. Now, one of the things that I'm very lucky with in the company is there is a demand for it. There is a demand for events like this here in Scotland. And I don't sit back and just, hope and assume that people will come. There's a lot of work to get people in the room. But part of that does buy me a bit of breathing space to go off and invest the time and money into the development of the brand as a whole, to make sure that we get the quality better year upon year. We are going bigger each time. So we're in Hampden Stadium this year, so Scotland's national stadium. And from 2027 onwards, we are moving somewhere else. And the place that we move to, we'll be able to be there forevermore beyond that point. So the vision for me is get this into the hands of people that need this here in Scotland and further afield, don't discriminate, but get it into the hands of people that need it. And of course, the work outside of that one-day event also needs to continue. So right now, the work outside of that is localised events. We travel around Scotland and we facilitate rooms for people for the connection piece, like we spoke about, but also for general awareness. I think a lot of people who are either solopreneurs or have a very small team or are marketers on their own are very isolated. Yeah. They are very on their own, and they need more access to spaces that are low stakes for them, friendly to come into, and actually it's not a model that's just there to get a membership fee off you and upsell you on the back end, because that's not the model that I run.
Nailed it. Susan, thank you for coming along and having a chat with me. I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed finding out a little bit more about your own journey as well and how you've got to where you are now. If the listeners, whether they're in England, Wales, Ireland, South Africa, America, Boston, wherever, there's going to be a lot of Scottish fans possibly coming back to, no, we won't even go there. How do they find out more about the Scottish Marketing Summit?
Online, I'm very active on LinkedIn, just my name, Susan Carruthers. Instagram, we're over Scottish Marketing Summit. And if you type in Scottish Marketing Summit to any of your AI, you should get all the answers that you need on the other side.
Brilliant. Thank you, Susan.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me.